anywhere in Washington, D.C., and you're here because you're lapdogs to the President of the United States, who during the election last year, we said time and time again, I reclaim my time.
Down, Mr. Chairman.
All right, hold on.
My colleague just called me a lapdog for the President of the United States.
Señores, lo que pasó en el Congreso de los Estados Unidos fue un verdadero choque político. Los congresistas republicanos MAGA no se lo esperaban. Los demócratas llegaron preparados para pelear y finalmente desenmascarar esta hipocresía. Demostrar que los republicanos en el Congreso son simplemente marionetas del trumpismo. Estos republicanos, liderados por Mike Johnson, acaban de quedar en evidencia y se acaba de demostrar que están solamente dedicados a encubrir el escándalo de Jeffrey Epstein, esconder los archivos y tapar todos los crímenes de Trump y empujar a Estados Unidos hacia un modelo autoritario. El congresista Jared Moskowitz llegó con todo. Lo primero que hizo fue exponer lo absurdo de los republicanos al negar que la firma de Trump estaba en la tarjeta de cumpleaños de Jeffrey Epstein. Ellos dicen que es una falsificación masiva. Y bueno, Moskowitz les responde: ¿por qué no traemos a James Comer? Contratamos a un perito en caligrafía y vemos quién hizo esa supuesta falsificación. Escuchemos.
I'm here to defend him as by far the best investigator of all time in the Capitol, which is exactly why all of his investigations, which have used, Chinese informants that were prosecuted and Russian disinformation, people from prison. I mean, the main thing he was tasked with last year, right, which was the Biden impeachment, that we had a vote. Oh no, we never had a vote on that because, of course, he didn't find any evidence. So this morning, our close personal friend, Mr. Comer, said that he was not going to look into the letter or the doodle, the president's doodle. He's a decent doodler, by the way. So he wasn't going to look into whether the signature was a forgery, and I'm concerned about that because this is the president of the United States. If there are forgeries or forgers out there, I think we should investigate it. And in fact, this document is 22 years old. So you're telling me someone 22 years ago went back to the future and forged his signature when he was a Democrat. And somehow this person was Nostradamus, knew he would become a Republican, become president 22 years later. So listen, I submit to you that we can solve this problem for the American people. You don't have to take my word for it. You don't have to take our dear personal friend, Mr. Comer's word for it. Let's bring in a signature expert. You guys pick the witnesses. Bring in your signature experts, swear them under oath, and let's have the signature examined. Is it his or it is not his? We don't have to play games or the president says it's not his, we say it's him. No, let's bring in a signature expert, a referee, because we can't agree on anything, even when it's right in our face, of whether that is indeed the president's signature, or if it's a forgery, we should immediately open up an investigation into this.
Luego, la congresista demócrata Sarah Jacobs de San Diego fue directo en contra de la obsesión MAGA, hablando del tema de la atención médica de afirmación de género. Ella les recordó que si alguien se hace un botox, una cirugía estética, un aumento de busto, eso también es afirmación de género. Y bueno, ¿qué pasó? Nancy Mace, por razones que ustedes mismos podrán imaginar, se enfureció y empezó a gritarle a Jacobs en pleno Congreso. Vean este momento.
I would just like to point out that I think it's very interesting that my colleague from South Carolina is so obsessed with the issue of trans people, using horrible slurs to talk about them, when many people in this body have received gender-affirming care. Filler is gender-affirming care. Boob jobs is gender-affirming care. Botox is gender-affirming care. Lots of my colleagues have received gender-affirming care. And let me be clear, I think everyone should have access to the gender-affirming care that they need. And I think we should respect everybody in this country. With that, I yield back.
Ridiculous. You are absolutely ridiculous.
Lady is not recognized. Order. The House will be in order. The gentlelady and the gentleman will suspend. The House.
Pero claro, ahí no quedó todo. Moskowitz volvió a la carga, en esta ocasión respondiendo a Mike Johnson, quien tuvo el descaro de decir que Trump había sido un informante del FBI y que en realidad él fue el que ayudó a atrapar a Jeffrey Epstein en el año 2007. Luego, pues claro, Johnson dijo que se equivocó y Moskowitz lo destrozó. Veamos eso.
Just following up on a little bit of what the ranking member was discussing, there was a significant event this week in which this committee has jurisdiction over. The Speaker of the House, the third highest ranking U.S. official, third in line to be the president, looked into the TV cameras and told us that the current president of the United States was an FBI informant. I consider that to be gigantic news. And I'm just curious, have we reached out to the FBI, to Kash Patel, to confirm whether the president was at any time an FBI informant? I only say that because the Speaker of the House obviously gets significant briefings. He gets briefings that we do not get as regular members. And so I think this is something that we need to hear definitively. Before Kash Patel comes, we should clear up, maybe that we should send a letter to him to find out if the president was an informant. And if he was an informant, is that because he was working with the FBI after he was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein? Did he turn because he got caught with Jeffrey Epstein? You know, when you're an FBI informant, there are lots of questions about how you became an FBI informant. And then how long was he an FBI informant? When did his service to the FBI stop, you know, being a member of the deep state? When did he stop doing that? I mean, look, if a regular member had said this, I would discount it. But the Speaker of the House is the one who said it. And then he said afterwards, well, I may have misspoke. Well, what was his misspeak? Instead of informant, did he mean agent? I mean, what is the misspeak for informant? I mean, I don't know another word that we use when we're describing an FBI agent or FBI informant or undercover. I mean, what was the misspeak here? And if he was lying then, is he lying now? I'm just confused. Perhaps maybe the Speaker should come to our committee and tell us what he meant when he said that. It's just,
Point of order.
I'm still speaking.
Mr. Chairman?
I'm still speaking.
Is there a bill or an amendment on the floor?
I strike the last word. I'm allowed to finish.
Después entró en escena el congresista Maxwell Frost, el cual dejó completamente en evidencia a los republicanos MAGA. Enfrentó directamente a Clay Higgins, uno de los más radicales, y le preguntó: si en tu estado la criminalidad es más alta que en ciudades azules, ¿por qué no metes a la Guardia Nacional ahí? Y bueno, Higgins respondió con nervios: ese es mi estado, es mío. Escuchen.
No, I just have a question for my colleague from the state of Louisiana, because I'm curious as to where your bill is. Louisiana is the state with the second highest rate of deaths in this nation. You are more likely to be shot standing on a random street in your state than you are in Washington, D.C. So my question is, where's your bill for the occupation of the state of Louisiana to keep your people safe, if you're at all sincere in this?
Gentlemen, yield for an answer.
I yield for an answer.
I support state rights. I'm a constitutionalist.
But not D.C.?
Stand by. As a constitutionalist, I support my state, my sovereign state's legislature, which is doing everything it can to push back upon the crime rate of the Democrat-controlled cities.
Okay,
of
so
New Orleans,
I'll take my time back. I'll take my time back.
If you remove
That's the rules.
the crime stats
That's the
of New
rules.
Orleans,
I'll take my time back. I'll take my time back. So you only invoke the rules when other people are speaking, not when you're speaking. Okay.
That's your time.
I agree with you. Look, I'm for state sovereignty. So what do you think about California?
California is not where I live. You asked me about my state.
See, you only care, and I'll reclaim my time. I'll reclaim my time. I'll reclaim my time. I'll reclaim my time. I will reclaim my time. The gentleman will stop speaking. I will reclaim my time. You're more likely to be shot standing in a random street in your state,
this is Mr. Frost time, Mr. Chairman.
than anywhere in Washington, D.C., and you're here because you're lapdogs to the President of the United States, who during the election last year, we said time and time again, I reclaim my time.
Down, Mr. Chairman.
All right, hold on.
My colleague just called me a lapdog for the President of the United States. I move for his words to be taken down.
A second.
We'll stand in recess for a second here. We will suspend to see about taking the word.
Para colmo, apareció pues Lauren Boebert quejándose de que había Guardia Nacional en el Capitolio después del 6 de enero, o sea, después del asalto al Capitolio. Se quejó de que literalmente estaban ahí como si hubieran ido a arruinarle la fiesta a los insurrectos. Escuchen.
And as far as having an issue, taking issue with the National Guard having a temporary presence to get your city, this city, our nation's beautiful capital under control and safe, I didn't hear any problems from Washington, D.C. residents or my colleagues on the other side of the aisle when 20,000 National Guards came in and surrounded the Capitol building and prohibited your First Amendment rights to petition your government with your grievances. I didn't see an uprising there. We weren't happy about the fences and the hundreds of miles of barbed wire surrounding our nation's capital, an armed National Guard, tens of thousands of them, keeping you out of the people's house. But now they're here to help and keep you safe, and that's somehow an issue.
Y ahí mismo Frost volvió a intervenir y le recordó algo que es muy obvio. ¿Quién era el presidente el 6 de enero? ¿Quién controlaba el FBI y a la Guardia Nacional? Exacto, Donald Trump.
So we're going to move forward. So you'll work at opposing the president's request.
I know how the system works, and I know that it requires 60 votes in the Senate to change government funding, and we're not going to get 60 votes to do anything. So we're going to have a CR. But again, how are you going to help the 5,600 people? You say that this
I'll reclaim my time. I'll reclaim my. How are we going to help them? By fighting to ensure that the president and your party doesn't further erode the little services that we have in this country. We need housing, not handcuffs. We have a housing crisis in this country. Every time the rent goes up $100, homelessness goes up 9%. Let me say it one more time. Every time the rent goes up $100, homelessness goes up 9%. Homelessness is a housing problem. And you have no solutions for us here. You're talking about, again, trying to hide a problem rather than fix a problem. It is both cheaper and less challenging for us as a nation to keep people housed than, yes, to help them when they're on the streets. We need to help people when they're on the streets, but we need to fund rental assistance, transitional housing, permanent supporter housing, shelters, all this suite of services that help us keep our people on top of a certain line, because it does cost more and it is harder, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't do it.
Well,
and the president that you follow and that you are lauding wants to make a historic cut to the few services that we have so we can keep people from off the streets. And I think it's despicable. And you come here and try to act like there's a problem with us because we have a problem with you working to criminalize homelessness. People see beyond that.
It's already criminal. The DC city police are not enforcing it. So what do you want us to do?
The tool you want to give federal law enforcement is allow them to go and arrest people who are sleeping on the streets because they have nowhere else to sleep. We shouldn't be criminalizing homeless people for the failures of government. Let's step up. Let's try to work together and ensure that we eradicate homelessness and fix this housing crisis.
Y bueno, también hablaron otros demócratas como ser, por ejemplo, Eric Swalwell. Escuchemos.
I don't understand the logic here that because you think the Democrats did nothing on the Epstein files in the Biden administration, that to own the libs, you now have license to leave sexual assault victims unprotected. It's just crazy that you hate the Democrats so much that you would let the most notorious child sex trafficker and the people connected to him not be held accountable because you want to own the libs. Let's just take you at your word. Okay, the Democrats did nothing. So you're going to do nothing is what you are telling me. The Democrats, of course, did not do nothing.
Congressmember Goldman, let's play it. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. So now all of a sudden, the Republicans who were so aggressively intent on releasing the Epstein files because they were going to be a huge, explosive story about Democrats involved with Jeffrey Epstein are quiet. So the irony of these Republicans accusing the Democrats now of only being interested in this is for political purposes is so thick that it is almost sucking us into the quicksand. But let's go a step further. Let's go a step further. Because now the cover-up is getting so deep and so intense that this committee, which has oversight over the Department of Justice and would ordinarily be the one that is doing this investigation, is running away from it. Why? Because Chairman Comer is the useful idiot who will do the cover-up for Donald Trump. And what does that mean? Oh, well, now there is an oversight investigation, but you know what they're not asking for?
Those kind of comments, and he knows that. Gentleman's recognized.
Now, the oversight committee is doing an investigation, but you know what they're not asking for? You know what you did not put in the rule to confirm that investigation? We're not asking for the documents that were used to open the investigation, who provided the information. They're not asking for witness statements, victim witness statements. They're not asking for recordings that may exist. They're not asking for any of the evidence that might include Donald Trump. And rather than acknowledge that you're just trying to cover up for Donald Trump's knowledge and involvement in the Jeffrey Epstein scheme, you're trying to accuse us of being interested.
También tuvimos a la congresista Ansari.
How can the Trump administration literally steal $1 billion from DC without any justification or resource? Imagine if this were Phoenix or Los Angeles or Las Vegas or Dallas. I'm the former vice mayor of Phoenix, Arizona, the 5th largest city in the country. And I can tell you that a $1 billion withholding of budget from a city government has massive implications. It should be no different for Washington, D.C. While this is the city's capital, it is also home to hundreds of thousands of hardworking people. What might actually have an impact on keeping people safe and healthy in our nation's capital? That would be the $1 billion of withheld funding for critical programs that keep this city running. Funds that are DC's, not the federal government's money. But Donald Trump obviously believes that this city is his personal playground. He has deployed the U.S. military to its streets because he wants to feel powerful, because he is a dictator. And he wants to deflect from the fact that the biggest criminal in this city is himself, sitting and occupying the White House at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. My colleagues have mentioned DC's crime rate is at a 30-year low. So what does Trump have our nation's service members, many of who've been taken from their jobs, from their families as reservists, what are they doing here in Washington, D.C.? He has them picking up trash, sitting around bored, directing traffic. I've seen this firsthand with my own eyes. It's been mentioned. The way it sounds from my colleagues, they're more worried about their own personal safety here. I can tell you I feel very safe here, walking around my Navy Yard neighborhood. But our president is more interested in photo ops and seeming like a tough strongman than he is about spending government resources on the programs and policies that keep us safe, whether that's investing in counter narcotics programs or the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. He has literally redirected counterterrorism and human trafficking resources away from their intended purpose and toward non-violent immigration offenses.
y el senador Rubén Gallego, un veterano militar que no se guardó nada. Él se mostró indignado porque Ashley Babbitt, una de las insurrectas del 6 de enero, vaya a recibir honores militares en un funeral. Y bueno, Gallego lo dijo corto. Era una traidora. Escuchen.
Today we had a chance to stand with the brave men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice for this country in uniform. Ashley Babbitt is not that. She is a traitor. She will be a traitor. And she died a traitor. And let the halls remember that here. My colleague from across the aisle refused to do that. Instead, he stands with the traitors of January 6th. He's trying to say that an insurrectionist who broke into the Capitol with a knife deserves the same honor as the men and women who gave their lives for this country on the battlefield. It doesn't matter how many times she went. It doesn't matter how many times she was deployed. Benedict Arnold was one of the best generals we had until he betrayed us during the American Revolutionary War. He was still a traitor. Ashley Babbitt is a traitor. Ashley Babbitt's actions on January 6th are about as dishonorable as it gets. Giving her honors undermines the Constitution, and it undermines the real sacrifice of millions of veterans who defend our country. My colleague just set a dangerous precedent today. He is standing with the traitors of January 6th. You do not deserve that, America. The veterans of this country do not.
Ahí lo tienen, amigos. Los republicanos MAGA quedaron expuestos, mintiendo, gritando, defendiendo lo indefendible. Mientras tanto, vimos a los demócratas poniendo las cartas sobre la mesa, recordando al país que el verdadero peligro no está afuera, sino en quienes quieren seguir encubriendo a Donald Trump. Bueno, señores, ahora quiero que hablemos de algo que no hemos vuelto a mencionar hace un tiempo, y es el tema de los aranceles. Hoy por hoy, señores, estamos viendo un verdadero desastre para un sector en concreto, que son los agricultores de Estados Unidos. Y ojo, que no lo digo solo yo, sino que hasta los propios productores aseguran que las políticas de Trump están hundiendo el campo. Imagínense, un sector que históricamente ha sido el motor de la economía norteamericana, ahora está asfixiado por costos altísimos, deudas impagables y sobre todo por la torpeza de estos aranceles. El tema es sencillo, ¿no? Pero es muy grave. Los agricultores producen mucho más de lo que se consume dentro del país. O sea que ahora necesitan vender al extranjero, especialmente a China, el cual pues es su principal cliente de soya. ¿Cuál es el problema? China dejó de comprar a Estados Unidos y se fueron a Brasil y África, dejando de este modo pues a los granjeros norteamericanos con pérdidas multimillonarias y un futuro incierto. Escuchemos esta noticia.
Hundreds of farmers in Arkansas gathered at a town hall last week to ask Congress for help. Mounting debt, aging equipment, and disappearing profits are making it nearly impossible for them to break even, let alone to turn a profit. One of those farmers calls the president's tariffs, quote, the ice cream on top of a cake of a perfect storm. He joins us now, Arkansas farmer Scott Brown, who attended last week's town hall. Scott, really good to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me about what's happening with your farm.
Well, we've got a real disaster with this tariff deal. I mean, we produce 40% more agricultural products in this country than we can consume domestically. 1 in every 4 rows of soybeans in every field in the entire United States of America has to go abroad. China is the largest importer of soybeans in the world. They import 61% of the world's market. Last year, we sent around $12 billion, I think $14 billion worth of soybeans the year before. For the first time in 20 years, China's bought 0 soybeans and 0 new crop corn out of this country.
0?
So we went from 12 billion to 0.
Where are they buying the soybeans?
Brazil. You see, we lost 42% of our market share in the first tariff war. In Trump's first tariff war, the Chinese went to buying their soybeans from Brazil. They invested billions of dollars in Brazilian infrastructure. They have moved into Africa, and they're going to commercially farm in Africa. Since we left with USAID, they moved their Belt and Road program into Africa. So we've pretty much lost the Chinese market share. If we got 100% of the soybean business, Katie, for every country in the world except for Brazil and Argentina, we would still only have half the soybean business that China is.
Are you getting 100% of everything else?
Yeah, if we got 100% of everything else, we would still only have half the Chinese business.
Well, what are you getting right now if you're not getting China? Are you getting every other market out there?
Or probably some other countries, and the market's pretty stifled. Most of our soybeans here go to the Mississippi River. It's the closest place to market them. They're going to go downriver and go overseas somewhere at some point. Beans are about $10.28 on the board today. We're going to get 40 cents behind that as a basis because the elevators are going to want to control their hedge. It's going to cost us 50 or 60 cents in a truck to get there, so we're getting in the low nines. And Purdue University will tell you it takes $12.03 to raise them.
Okay, so you farm soybeans. You farm 800 acres. You know, $0 coming from China. That's a problem. How are you going to pay your bills? Are you turning a profit? Are you breaking even?
I hope to break even this year. I farm so little, I farm by myself. My tractors are all paid for. They're old. They're 50 years old. My tractors were all made in the 70s. My combine was made in 1997. I cut a load of beans, put it in the truck, and haul it to the river myself.
Amigos, imaginen eso. En un solo año pasaron de exportar 12,000 millones de dólares en soya a China a cero. Literal, amigos, a cero. No estamos hablando de un producto de lujo, sino que una de las bases del sector agrícola. Amigos, la soya. Lo más grave es que mientras Trump se enorgullece, ¿no?, por su guerra comercial, China aprovechó todo esto para invertir en Brasil, fortalecer su infraestructura, diversificar su producción en África, etc. O sea, en otras palabras, Estados Unidos perdió el mercado. Muy difícil de recuperar. Aquí hay un punto clave. Supuestamente Trump trató de maquillar este desastre con los subsidios temporales, ¿no? No es más que meter dinero federal para calmar a este sector, que son los agricultores. Pero eso no resuelve el problema de fondo, porque si no tienen compradores internacionales, no va a importar cuántos millones se inyecten. La producción va a seguir sin una salida. Es como tapar un agujero enorme con un parche barato. Yo he visto ciertos comentarios de defensores de Trump que dicen, bueno, es que había que ponerle un alto a China. ¿De verdad? ¿A costa de sacrificar a miles de productores que ahora trabajan a pérdida, endeudados hasta el cuello? La realidad es que el gobierno de Trump nunca diseñó una estrategia seria para poder proteger a este sector mientras libran su batalla comercial. Los números no mienten. Hoy por hoy, un agricultor de maíz pierde en promedio $220 por acre sembrado. Los de algodón hasta $375. Y eso no es hacer grande América otra vez. Eso es empujar a la quiebra a quienes alimentan al país. Lo que tenemos es un campo estadounidense devastado por políticas improvisadas, políticas egocéntricas. Trump prometió defender a los agricultores, pero en la práctica los está dejando a merced de un mercado perdido y de deudas impagables. Lo más irónico, ¿no? Muchos de esos mismos granjeros todavía lo apoyan, aunque sean su principal víctima de sus decisiones. Pero bueno, ahora quiero saber qué opinan ustedes. ¿Creen que los agricultores seguirán respaldando a Trump pese a estas pérdidas millonarias? ¿O finalmente le darán la espalda cuando vean que sus granjas ya no se sostienen? Los invito a que me dejen esas opiniones en los comentarios. Muchísimas gracias por acompañarme hasta el final de este video. Recuerda, como siempre, darle like, comparte el contenido y suscríbete al canal. Nos vemos en el próximo video. Hasta luego.